Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Connecting Life podcast. I'm your host, Dianaboskma, and here we connect the dots between health, nutrition, mindset, and everyday life, helping you build a healthier and more fulfilling future, one step at a time. So, grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's get started. Today, I'm talking with Cindy
Blekaitis.
Blekaitis. I had to think about this. Who's a friend of mine, and she's also a transformational life coach, and overall just a really cool human being. So, Cindy, would you please tell us a little bit more about yourself than what I just did?
Oh, thank you, Dana. I just love you.
Oh, thank you.
And I think you're a really cool person too. So yes, I love it. Don't mind. I've been called a lot of things with that name, so don't worry.
Blekaitis. I have it now.
Blekaitis. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I always say it's not a disease.
Mm. It sounds a bit like it with the is at the
oh,
end.
oh yeah, that's the whole. It's like, oh, okay, it sounds like inflammation. It's like, well, I can be pretty inflammatory.
Cool.
So yes, I'm so happy to be on here with you today, and I love our conversations. So it just feels like this is just a natural thing. So I'm based in the Cayman Islands, and I founded Fairy Godmother Cayman, and it's a transformational life coaching, retreats, and consulting business and lifestyle management. I believe is another kind of area that, and essentially, Fairy Godmother is all about transformation, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of, it was a friend of mine that said, oh, you're like our fairy godmother. And this is years before I founded my company. And it always just kind of stuck with me. So yeah, that's, so my background is in counseling and mental health. And over the years, I worked with different populations, like in addictions, domestic abuse. Yeah, so I worked for about 22 years doing that, and in the corporate wellness background. And from there, that became more of a coaching, group coaching, workshops, stress management, retreats, that kind of thing. And it just,
Nice.
I've always worked with people at various levels. That was the beauty of being in a government agency and then transferring into nonprofit. And I love being able to just meet whoever, wherever people are at. So
Yeah.
I love saying, I've worked in prisons and I've worked in law firms, and they're both very similar.
Yes. Totally makes sense.
Right. But it's
Yeah.
just because you just meet people where they're at. And
Yeah.
I just love it. So yeah, that's where I'm kind of my background and how I came to this. So yeah, I started my own company a year and a half ago. And I get to work with whoever comes my way. And I just love it.
That is the
Yeah.
beauty of this business. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for that. That shows quite a bit about you. So, Cindy and I will have a conversation about burnout. I know we'll define that in different ways, and some people say now, other people say that. So, right? So, what is for you the biggest? Yeah, how would I call that? The more clear, most clear thing about what burnout is. What would you really define it as?
So burnout, I've been thinking about this because there's so many, you and I've talked about this before. There's so many different levels of burnout, and burnout is kind of a word that gets thrown around when we are, literally like feeling overwhelmed and experiencing a high degree of stress and feeling like you're pulled in too many different directions. And and burnout it means something different to everybody. And right, and there's different levels of burnout, there's different degrees of burnout. I think when I was looking at the other day, there's definitions according to NHS or whoever, that just say that it's a essentially it's a process of enduring like acute stress for however long, when you literally just start to shut down physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I don't think the NHS got into like that deep, but
Probably
but
not. They are
probably
mental
not.
physical health, so they don't go into the spiritual corner usually.
Right. But it's the whole thing is that when
Yeah.
you're, I like to think of it as that your tank is empty,
Mm-hmm.
that the tank, your tank is
Yep.
empty. The light has come on to warn you, and
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
burnout, right?
Yep.
It's like,
Yep.
okay, and if you don't pull the car over, it's gonna
Mm.
just stop. And
Eventually,
that's
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I like
Yeah.
to say, like, like
Mm-hmm.
I love cars, and so car analogies kind of come to me
Mm.
very, so
Yeah.
it's like, okay, just like you're driving around with the check engine light on. It's
Mm-hmm.
like we do that and we don't want to look at it. And eventually,
Yeah.
so yeah, so burnout is I feel like it's a progression, and it's
Mm-hmm.
at different stages. And
Yeah.
um, I
Yeah.
also think we've all been there.
I'm pretty sure of that. I've heard it described as burning the candle on both sides. I feel that is very, very, yeah. I don't know. For me, that made it very clear as
Accurate.
in, yeah, quite accurate as in, you've been doing the work, you've been doing this, you've been doing that, you've just been doing everything without taking care of you, because that's frequently the thing, that the self-care. So anybody that I've talked with that was burnt out had very little time that they spent on taking care of themselves. And I'm not talking about, the showers, because most people keep doing that, the basic stuff, yes, but actually
Mhm.
taking time to themselves to do something that they enjoy, like something creative or whatever. So many people just have this, I don't have time for that. And then I think, well,
Mhm. Have
that's
to
like,
make time.
yeah, you gotta that time. Well, frequently for women than anybody else. Because when you have a short part, that time for yourself, crash and burn does happen at some point.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you said, it could show up in different areas of your
Mm-hmm.
life.
Yeah.
And when I think about burnout, it's the exhaustion that takes over,
Mm-hmm.
where, part of it is you stop doing, like you said, the creative things, or that, like any of the self-care things. You might do the
Yeah.
basics, like the
Yeah.
bare minimum to keep, but a lot of times it has a function in order to
Mm-hmm.
make you keep going,
Yeah.
because you're going to keep showing up for work or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So you have to
Yeah.
do certain things in order for that to continue.
Mm-hmm.
But you start neglecting the other things. So
Yes.
you neglect your like you said, your creative pursuits. And a lot of times it's, I don't have the time for it. I don't have the
Mm-hmm.
energy for it. So when you
Yes.
stop having the energy for the things that give you energy,
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge
Yeah.
sign. It's a
Yeah.
huge sign of burnout.
It is. Yeah. I've heard it about creative things and spiritual things where people just struggle to even find the energy for it.
Mhm. Yeah, or even like I think another one was social activities. So not having the energy to engage in social activities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes I mean, it there's varying degrees of how social
Mm-hmm.
you naturally are.
Yeah.
Um, so it's, if you're not a particularly social person, then like it's not going to be that noticed. But
Mm-hmm.
if you are a sociable person, but
Yeah.
you don't see it as enjoyable anymore. You don't see it as
Mm-hmm.
a, oh, it's going to be great, I'm going to have fun. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it becomes more of a, when you're burnt out, it becomes more of a performative task that you
Yes.
have to do, and
It's
it's a chore.
another job.
Right, exactly. One more
And
thing to do,
nobody
you know.
wants yet another job to do, because that's what life becomes like. That
Hmm.
everything is another job to do.
Hmm. Another
Even,
task. Yeah, another task for the list.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think we've talked before about like not only burning out at work, that's the easy one
Yeah.
to, when you talk about that, but it's like the burnout that you feel at home,
Mm.
or like with, with it, whether you have kids or if
Yeah.
it's you're in a relationship, or with any kind of area of your life that you start to feel is getting
Yeah.
overwhelming, and it's and when you're under a lot of, I come back to stress.
Mm-hmm.
When you're under stress, then you have to be able to, like you said, practice self-care
Mm-hmm.
and try to manage that stress so that
Yeah.
these other areas
Mm-hmm.
of your life don't fall
Yeah.
off, and you just become completely focused
Mm-hmm.
on, right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one thing that just came to mind for me that I hadn't thought of before in that way yet. But
Hmm.
somehow I think now it clicks into place is that people who are in an abusive relationship are just chronically burnt out because they need to stick to the rules. And many of those rules do not include stuff for themselves. Like there's no creative stuff involved anymore. There's no socializing involved anymore. And then that hurts and gets really deep. It goes deep. It's hard. So
Hmm.
that just hit me. So I hadn't really thought about that before. It's kind of was separated for me, and now I have this thing. No, it's not.
Yeah, and that's part of the, when you talk about abusive relationships, the goal of the abusive relationship is to keep that other person burnt
Mm-hmm.
out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a lot of times, I mean, the physical abuse is easy to talk about because it's obvious, right?
Yes, you can see the
Um,
bruises.
right. See the bruises, you could see but it's the other kinds of abuse, like the emotional
Mm-hmm.
abuse and financial abuse and mental abuse, like things like that happened
Yeah.
long before
Mm-hmm.
anybody ever raised a hand to another person,
They don't
right?
even
And
have
that's
to most of the time.
exactly, like a lot of abusive relationships that are going on, there's
Mm-hmm.
never any kind of physical harm in
No,
that way.
and that makes it
And
also really hard to recognize for the person in the relationship.
mhm, yeah, and it's all and when you're in the middle of it, it's the gaslighting and
Mm-hmm.
the different, gaslighting gets thrown around as a term, but it's the whole, you know,
Yeah.
um, one partner messing with the other one's idea of the reality.
Mm-hmm.
It's the arguments that start out as bringing up something that's important to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow it gets twisted
Yes.
and turns around, and the other person ends up questioning,
Mm-hmm.
their own reality, or they get exhausted from trying to prove their point or trying to be
Yes.
heard. And so
Yeah.
then, like, you're in this, we talk about the cycle. You're in that
Mm-hmm.
cycle. And so then, and a lot of that times is what the abusive person is doing is training the
Mm-hmm.
other to keep quiet and just do what
Yes.
they want.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
controlling. It's always about a certain level of control.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And like you said, and it never has to escalate to the
No.
physical. No.
No. It's still
So.
going to make it really. And I know of people who've. One lady that I know, she at some point had this thing, I had to leave or I would have died.
Hmm.
And she didn't really want to leave because of all the hassle,
Hmm.
but was grateful afterwards. And actually, you saw her perk up over the years. She changed so much in
Hmm.
like 2, 3 years of having peace. That was
Yeah.
unbelievable. Never thought that would happen. And she was never
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah. But it's the I remember seeing an ad, um this is years ago, and um it was a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and she had bruises and just obviously had been in
Mm-hmm.
some kind of
Yeah.
and it said, the caption was, "He never laid a hand on me." And it was an ad for emotional abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So it was trying to illustrate that, if
Yeah.
you could see the damage that's happening,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
but
And it
yeah, that's
really.
the state of burnout in
Mm-hmm.
relationships. And again, it doesn't always have to get to the point where, you know um it's we could say abusive, but
Mm-hmm.
at the same time there are, different dynamics that are unhealthy
Yes.
that can lead to, the burnout, and the
Mm-hmm.
burnout of a burnout of a relationship. Like a lot
Yeah.
of, we're seeing the statistics in a lot of traffic chatter on the,
Mm-hmm.
different, social media and all that about, women getting divorced in midlife. And
Yes, it's very
you
common
know,
these days.
mhm. And like the chatter about it has been, it's about, like carrying the mental load for
Yeah,
however long.
yeah.
And, some examples, like it wasn't about him taking out the garbage. It was about me having to ask him to take out the
Every
garbage.
week.
Right. Something,
Yeah,
some things along those lines. It's like
yeah.
it's not, it wasn't about chores not getting done. It was about I had to be the manager of the chores getting done.
Hmm. And then
And
you don't have a partnership.
right.
Because when you have a good partnership and you're a team, you both take the mental load to a certain extent. And
Hmm.
that doesn't mean 50-50 exactly. It can be 60-40 or something, but it shouldn't be one person is carrying 100% of the mental load because
Hmm.
nobody can. It's too
Right.
much.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, it is the one about taking the bins out is a big one because having to remind someone every week about doing that
Hmm.
is kind of this thing of we've been doing this for like 5 years. Do I really still have to remind you of that?
Right.
And the other day I heard someone say, unless I remind him, he will push the rubbish even deeper into the bin until the bag tears.
Yep.
What is that
Hmm.
all about?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it kind of then feels like you're not dealing with an adult because an adult should be able to see which jobs need to be done.
Hmm. Yeah. So that just it's not about the garbage. It's about the person sees it needs to be done and
Hmm.
they don't do it. They
Hmm.
wait for you to say something. And so like I
That's,
think I saw something they called it garbage Jenga, like the game.
yeah.
Game Jenga where it's like, it's you talk in the top and so it's like, yep, I'm playing garbage Jenga right now because I refuse to take the garbage out because it's somebody else's job and they see it needs to be done, so they need to do it.
Mm.
So
Well,
yeah,
most
so
people have eyes so they can see it, and even if when you're blind, you can feel it when it's full.
right. Or you smell it.
Oh yeah, smelling is that's the
Yeah.
worst. Then it's been out. Then it's been there too long. When it smells,
Well,
it's
that's
been there
like,
too long.
yeah. See, that's where I win a little bit in my house because I don't have a sense of smell.
Mm, hmm.
So it's just like, oh, is that bothering you? It doesn't bother me. If it
Well,
bothers you, maybe you should take the garbage out.
that is the thing. You know, when it's bothering you, do something about it. Don't wait until someone else does. It's kind of that's another thing with adults. Why would you
Mhm.
wait until someone else does it? They're not your parent.
Right. Yeah. It's so it is like the mental load
Hmm.
that we carry, like, we all carry a mental load and say,
Yes.
um, like sometimes too, I think with when you're, say you're in an environment with you're experiencing burnout
Hmm.
and we're reluctant to ask for help when you're in that state.
It's hard because you're already struggling, and asking for help is another struggle.
Mhm.
But it's also a thing that you kind of have to do because nobody can read your mind.
Right.
And once others know, they can support you. When they don't, they can't. So
Right.
it is that one extra job that you kind of need to do to make your life a lot easier. Because then,
Yeah.
it's also this thing of I know of a lot of people who've really struggled, but then also don't really want to go talk to their GP. And I get
Hmm.
that because not everybody wants to use pharmaceuticals. People might want to do a different journey on that. But it's also good when your GP does know because they might have ideas that can help you.
Hmm.
But just going there, that can be such a journey.
Well, it becomes one more thing to do,
Yep.
right? It
Hmm.
becomes one more thing to do. And, but it's like the unfortunate thing is that if, we talk about, the burnout, it's like,
Hmm.
you have your emotional burnout, you start to have, the brain fog, like the
Yeah.
mental burnout, the brain, can't remember things, not sleeping properly, like all these, the different symptoms of stress that we
Yep.
love to talk about.
Yes.
But right, and it's like, I found that, years of doing stress management or stress, I call it stress awareness, kind
Hmm.
of workshops and or stress releasing skills, things like that, is that a lot of times like we ignore all these different signs, like the mental signs, the emotional signs, and we ignore, it's the check engine light that's coming on that we just like, okay, yeah, I got to get that checked. I got to get that checked. And you keep going. And a lot of times
Yes.
we don't do anything about our stress levels until it does get to the physical level.
Yeah.
Right?
Because eventually it will.
It will. Yep.
Yeah.
It's all led back into, things like lack of sleep, right? And not being able to sleep properly, or not being able to sustain sleep. So some people have difficulty falling asleep. Some people have difficulty staying asleep.
Yeah.
And so then sleep health becomes huge. So somebody like, oh, okay, they'll eventually like, yeah, I need to go to the doctor because I'm not sleeping and I'm starting to get a headache. I'm getting headaches, and my neck hurts all the time, and things like that. And it's like, they would rather go to a doctor and like, oh, I think I have a brain tumor before before they'll admit like, okay, well, how's your stress level?
But that's, there's a certain level of, you gotta tough it out, you gotta get through it, you gotta do it, of attitude as well, which is, the one thing that I'm always baffled by is people who are proudly saying that they're working 60 to 80 hours a week. Then they have this thing, that's not that good for you. You may want to look at that, because they're stressed and then proudly saying that. And then I think that, one causes the other. And sometimes I know that these things do have to happen because there are certain emergencies and stuff, but when you constantly do that, it might not be such a good idea. And looking at that can be very useful.
Right.
I've done that with clients.
Yeah. And it's like you said, if you were with clients, it's like you just break it down and it's like, okay. So then, I like, there's that tool, the wheel of life. I think, and it's, and you look at, okay, like, so how satisfied are we in these different areas? And, like you said, it's like people wearing the badge of honor, like working 60 to 80 hours a week. And that's all they do. Like, that's their whole life. And so the idea of trying to slow some of that down and bringing in other things for their, sometimes that's just too much. And, and it
when you
goes
work
into
80 hours a week, you can't. Then you first have to look at that.
Yeah. Like, when do you sleep? Like, when do you have family time? Like,
when do you
when do you have social
exercise? When do you wind down?
Yeah, exactly. And it's, the working whatever hours and not having the energy to do anything else. So yeah, the odd time, like I see it work. You can see it play out sometimes in certain social situations when you see somebody and you haven't seen them in a long time. And if, because of the, let's say it's a children's birthday party or, whatever, that's how you know the person is, them somehow through the children. And you go to you see them and they're like, oh, you go, how are the kids? And they have no clue because, right. So the response is, oh, I don't know. Like, they say, oh yeah, they're good. I've just been working so much. Like, that's the response. And it's like, they don't know. They can just say, yeah, they're good, because they're still focused on, it's like, what it really is saying is they don't actually know. And they follow it up with the quick, like, I've been working a lot. I got extra overtime, whatever. We've been on this big contract, and they go into the social conversation that ends up revolving all around their work.
Yeah.
And then they probably leave the social situation and go back to work.
Yes,
I don't know.
it certainly happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
that's not that rare.
No, and it's a sign of burnout.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we could all just chill.
Yeah. It's so important to be able to just chill every now and then. Sit on a beach or stand in the woods, hug a tree. And yes, I do that. I love hugging trees. Yeah,
It's a
we
beautiful
have a really
thing.
cool tree. We have a really cool tree here that's next to the path, and you can just lean against it, and it's just
Hmm.
really relaxing to just sit there. Well, sit there, lean against it, and look around because it's a beautiful area. So yes,
Yeah,
hugging trees works.
connecting trees is, yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I like, you know, like you try to talk to like, okay, let's do something for yourself. Like, what is it that, it's like the sounds of the ocean are relaxing and da da
Mm,
da, right? So it's, like, okay, do you have to go through the whole thing to go to the beach and, sand and all this other? It's like, no, it doesn't have to be a huge thing. There's
mm,
places you can go, like I'm saying on the island, there's places you can go here where you can go and park your car on a parking
mm,
lot right beside the water and just listen,
mm,
right? Just hear the waves, feel like, the salt air, and just, find that calm, right?
mm.
And because it gets to a point where if you are on the cusp of burnout or you really feel it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't keep going like this. Like there's these like moments,
Hmm.
these things that kind
Yeah.
of wake you up to like, this is not something I can sustain,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's the first part of being able to make changes,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't keep doing this. This is a problem. Like that's
Yes.
step one. And that's
Yep.
when, and it doesn't have to be this huge, I'm going to quit my
No.
job and I'm going to da da da. It's like, but this is the problem is that if
You
you
got to start
ignore
somewhere.
that, right? But it's like sometimes people they think burnout is that, well, I don't know what happened. She just snapped. It's like,
Mm.
we don't want to get to the point
No.
of
No.
things like that. It's just the like, okay, if you have these moments where you start to think like, I can't do this anymore. I got to take a break. And right. It's
Mm.
like, that's that check engine light. So put
Yep.
it's like at that moment, it's like do something, even
Hmm.
it's like do some deep breathing or get up from your, whatever it is you're doing and walk away for a minute. Like you said, go hug a tree,
Hmm. Listen to
go
the birds.
outside, listen to the birds, fresh air.
Mm.
Um, sometimes you have these, if it's like fidget spinners or
Hmm.
any like, kind of things like that. It's like
Yeah.
that's just something that can like they call it like taking a brain break,
Mm.
right? So it can be
Yep.
like a physical brain break. It can be just
Yes.
moving around a few minutes, or the stress management, the stretchy
Mm.
stress balls, or any of those is like
Yeah.
the brain break is better for your mind and your body and your energy
Hmm.
than powering through, right? Because powering
Powering
through,
through.
it'll lead to burnout.
It does.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
one-way map.
Hmm. Yeah. It literally is you're on track, and you don't see a
Hmm.
way out usually. And one
Yeah.
of the interesting questions that one of the questions that I find interesting to ask
Mm-hmm.
is, when was the last time you heard the birds? And some people look at me like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think, ooh. So
Yeah.
then we have a conversation about how healthy it is to listen to the birds, because that's one of those evolutionary things. Is when you heard the birds, you were
Hmm.
safe because the birds will stop when there's predators around.
Yeah.
So listening to the birds gives your body this feeling of safety.
Yeah.
And when you don't
That's so
listen to the
cool.
birds, mm,
Yeah. I love that.
mm, it's just
I,
really cool to just talk about with people.
yeah. I always like, it's so funny. I feel like we've talked about it. Like, I know when at some day in my
Hmm.
retirement, I'm
Hmm.
gonna go on one of those like bird watching like
Yes,
tours.
cool. Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
I know that's what I want to do
Mm,
at later on in when when I have the, oh, what do you call it? Like, because I'm like, oh, well, don't wait till you retire to
mm,
do that. And it's
hmm.
like, but like, I'm talking about like a, kind of long-term immersion type
Hmm.
of bird watching
Mm,
tour. So
hmm.
I know it's like, yeah, I know that's something I need to do after like, at a
Yeah.
certain time in my life when I can actually do that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right. I just go on these little bird watching things now.
Hmm. It's cool to do.
Yeah, I
I
know.
can do that in
So,
my garden. Just look at the trees, see what's there.
mhm. Yeah,
It's cool.
that's it. I go sit outside in my garden and I just, I've got a bird feeder and I,
Mm,
you know, Sometimes I've been late for work because I've been sitting out there enjoying my bird watching. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be logged on. I gotta call.
Yeah. It happens. At least you were doing
Yeah.
something that relaxed you.
Well, that's So it's finding ways to put these
Yeah.
things in place
Mm.
and make before you burn out,
Yes.
right?
Don't
It's
let it
a
come to that. That's the thing. Don't let it
no,
come to that.
it's the self-care things, like the self-care
Yeah.
strategies, let's say,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we talk about, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessarily like you said about the showering, the physical things, getting your nails done, or if that's what you want to do, or
Mm.
all these other. It's like a lot of times self-care and
Yeah.
wellness, they kind of get lumped into like the the image the
Mm-hmm.
image things, right, that
Yeah.
make you presentable.
Yeah.
But it's the self-care on the inside that we need to do, the
Yeah. It's not
emotional
about the shower and brushing
housekeeping.
your teeth. It's about the
Yeah,
rest. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like like, yeah, sure, you can clean the house, but
Mm.
what about the emotional housework? You
That's
know?
so important. Yeah.
I think that's our next topic.
Yeah. We could definitely do that. So I think we've had like 20, 25 minutes now that we've been
Yeah,
talking.
I'm recognizing the time.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I know, it worked well.
Yeah,
So this feels like a moment where I could ask you, do you have any last words of wisdom you'd like to share?
yeah. Words of wisdom, I
Mm,
think it's like we only get, you're in this life.
yes.
You are in this life right now, and there's only so many moments. There's only so many the people in your life, the
Hmm.
milestones. Um, and I
Yep.
think about, there was a saying I saw that, you know, when you're when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to think to yourself, "Oh, I wish I had like corrected that last spreadsheet." That's not what you're going to be thinking about, right? When
No.
you're coming to the a certain part in your life and you start reflecting, it's like,
Mm,
okay, it's like, what is it? So it's like I just encourage everybody to just look at like, okay, what's going on
hmm.
with you that you think like, hey, you know what? Like I do feel like if you feel like something's missing, if you feel like something is
Yeah.
um worth chatting about with somebody that can kind of help draw you out, because we all need
Hmm.
somebody that's kind of
Yes.
outside of it all, right? It's
Yeah.
outside of it all, somebody that's objective, somebody that you don't have to worry about. Like that's what
Exactly.
coaching is, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Like that's why we do what we do. We're there for people. And so if any
Yes.
listeners, if I can be that person for you, then yeah.
Yep. Yeah. One of the things that I always think about is, will it matter in 5 years? No. Why does it matter now then? Or will it matter next year? No. Why does it matter now? Sometimes even will it matter next week? Because
Yeah,
frequently things don't even matter next week.
right.
So when
Well,
it's something that might feel important now but won't matter at any
mhm,
time frame, it's not important now either.
yeah, priorities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as you mentioned, talking with people, when people want to contact you, how can they do that?
So you can email me at cindy@fairygodmotherkman.com.
Cool.
So send me an email. I'm on social media. So I have Fairy Godmother Kman on Instagram and Facebook. So you can reach me through there as well.
Cool.
I'm Yes, I'm revamping my website right now. So
Oh,
I'm looking forward to being able to say, have a look at my website. So
yeah.
yes, that's
Well,
so from yeah,
I'll share
social
all those
media.
details in the
Thank you.
description of the video
Awesome.
because then people can just click and go if they want to.
Awesome.
Other than that, I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Me
So I
too.
want to thank you for joining me today because it was just cool. So, yeah,
Thank
thank you.
you. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
my
welcome.
pleasure. All right.
Good. Okay. See you around, everybody. Till next time.